We are live. Oh, this is going to be delicious. This is going to be delicious. If you're new here, welcome. You may be watching on YouTube at ValerieLoveTV.com. That's the Valerie Love YouTube channel. Or you may be watching on the Christian Witches YouTube channel, which is Christian Witches TV. Or you may be watching this on Facebook. Hi, Facebook. How are you loving? And that is Christian Witches on Facebook. So today, first of all, happy Witchy Wednesday. Happy Witchy Wednesday. We are in OMG. We're in for a wild ride in this conversation. We're in for a wild ride. And one of the reasons why, and as you come in, pop in and let us know where you're coming in from. We love you. We're so thankful you're here on Witchy Wednesday. One of the big reasons why we're having this conversation for Christian witches, here's one of the big reasons we're having this conversation. One of the big reasons we're having this conversation is because one of the most prominent, prevalent things witches hear from Christians is you're going to hell. That's prevalent. It's a consistent message. And many, hey Kathy, how you loving? How you loving? Hey, how you loving? How you loving? And many magical beings who feel the draw to crystals or any kind of metaphysical, mystical, magical experiences do not engage those experiences. Why? Fear of hell. That is tonight. That is tonight. Ooh, Moon Whiz, you're excited for this one? I am too, Moon Whiz. I am too. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? Now, if you're on ValerieLoveTV.com at the YouTube channel, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on the Christian Witches YouTube channel, subscribe, and share. Definitely share. Okay, so let's get into it. Do you see all these pages of notes I have? Pages and pages and pages of notes. Notes on the origins of hell, okay? Family, I did my research for you tonight. Oh, I look gorgeous. Thank you so much, Sabrina. I put on some lashes today. I put on my lashes today. Now, please let me know if the Wi-Fi speed is good. Is it good? And then we're diving in. Is the Wi-Fi good? Let me know. Hey, family. Hey, Jake. How you loving? I'm coming to you from my office in Mexico. Yay! Saladi! How you loving? I was just looking at the scarf you gave me the other day. I was just looking at that the other day. That's so amazing that I see you in here. Audio of it is good. Excellent. I love it. Let's go. Now, before we begin, I've got to say a little prayer, Spirit, anoint my lips, anoint my intentions so that they are pure and clear. And that is to set captives free. And that is to stand for truth. Asherah. Here's why we're having this conversation, family. Because too many people that are Christians, first of all, they're out of their lane because they're trying to tell you what to do. Too many people have told witches and magical people that you're going to hell because you have crystals. You're going to hell because you love astrology. You're going to hell and you're going to burn forever because you read tarot. You're going to hell and you're going to burn forever because you declared yourself a witch, which is truly a healer. So I say, well, how about we examine this concept of hell? Since, we've been told we're going there, how about you find out what it's all about before you get there? if there be any truth to it whatsoever. And I'm going to give you a little history of hell. Where did the idea, the concept come from? Did it come from God? No. What does that mean? Well, it means, after I did all of my research, and I invite you to do any research. I invite you, family, right? I invite you, and I invite anyone you desire to share this with. Do the research. It's called Google. It's called YouTube. It's called books. Just do the research. And you will come to maybe a similar conclusion that I come to now. I'm not here to give you your conclusions. I'll share with you my conclusion. I think there's going to be a spoiler alert. I'm going to give you my bottom line conclusion after doing all my research. Here's my bottom line conclusion. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to read it to you from my notes. My bottom line conclusion is this. Hell, as we know it, is completely invented by humans. Completely. It's a complete fabrication. It's a construct. It's completely made up. Now, how did that happen? Well, let's begin with this. Everything that we believe came from somewhere. That's the first thing we have to understand. Every belief, especially these mass beliefs that people have in consciousness, came from somewhere. And few people actually dig deep beneath the surface to find out what is the origin of their beliefs. Where did these beliefs come from? It's like the pot roast that they cut on both ends and put in the pot generation after generation after generation. You've heard that story. They cut the pot roast and they cut it and they cut it, and all the generations did that. And one day, the fifth generation person, the woman that was cooking, or a man or whomever was cooking in the kitchen, said, "Why do we cut both ends of the pot roast before we put it into the pot?" I don't know. Ask Mom. Mom, why do we, ask Grandma? Grandma, why do we cut both ends before we put it in the pot? I don't know. Ask great grandma. Great grandma, why do we cut both ends? They went all the way back to the generations. Great grandma said, because my pot was too small. I didn't have a big enough pot for the whole thing, so I cut it. So here, this was a belief, and this was a habit. This was a deeply ingrained thing. It's a ritual. It's something people just keep doing and keep doing and keep doing and keep doing without examining why they're doing it. Linda, how you loving? How you loving? So let's talk about what is the concept of hell that people have. This is the concept of hell that people have. That the devil and his demons are ruling over some kind of place of extreme torment. You know, it was described very interestingly in Dante's Divine Comedy, right? In Dante's Inferno. He says there's 9 levels to hell. 1 is limbo, 2 is lust, 3 is gluttony, 4 is greed, 5 is anger, 6 is heresy, 7 is violence, 8 is fraud, 9 is treachery. If you didn't get all of them, you can rewind it. Well, doesn't that sound like what happens in Washington, D.C. on any given day? I don't know, maybe Washington, D.C. is hell. That sounds like what happens in the world of humanity every single day. So this is what Dante was giving sort of this pictorial illustration of what hell is. Yes, and he's giving you these 9 levels. Hey, Robert, how you loving? How you loving? Right? You're gonna burn. There will be no help. You will feel all the pain of your flesh burning for eternity. That's the story, isn't it? That is the story. Now, for me, it was always a bizarre story, and let me give you a little background about myself. I myself grew up in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, and so I did not burn up with the concept. I did not burn up. I did not grow up with the concept of a burning hell. We never had that. We had something worse. Well, I don't know if there's something worse than burning hell forever and ever and ever. Amen. What we had was obliteration. that if you were just not on side with this Jehovah God person who is a Yahweh kind of character, and we've talked about Yahweh before, is Yahweh ultimate God? No. We've talked about Yahweh. Go to that episode in this series on forbidden knowledge, because what we find is that many Christians do not understand the origins of their own faith, and many Christians don't do deep study beyond what's taught in church. You must go beyond what's taught in church. Okay, what's taught in church, that's one view. Let's look at more. And what is really in a travesty is that people are told not to look at anything beyond what they're taught in church. And I'm telling you, if you do not look beyond the things that people tell you, then you are forever destined to be a slave, a mental slave. So this whole concept of you're going to go there, you're going to burn forever, there's no work, no help for you, your soul is just in this place. We know the story. We don't have to recount the whole story. Where did the story come from? It didn't come from God, I can tell you that much. Why? Why do we know? And we'll go back to the Bible, because it's very important to understand the Bible as well. I love the Bible. I'm a witch that reads the Bible. I have a Bible open on my altar right now in my home, in my magic room. Now, why is it that we want to really understand the origins? Because do you want to believe something that's fucking untrue? I don't think so. I mean, we're all intelligent people here. We can examine the facts and then we come to our own conclusions. Please share this with anyone. If you're a magical being and someone told you you're going to hell, please share this with them. I am very open for a very open, rigorous conversation around it. So let's go all the way back to, the Old Testament, it's called, right? It's called the Old Testament. Let's go all the way back to the Old Testament. Is there a burning hell in the Old Testament? No. Read the whole Old Testament. You will find no burning hell. Okay? Hey, Calvin, how you loving, Calvin? You will find hugs. And I'm so thankful, family, that you were patient last week, because we were in Peru, so that's why we didn't have Witchy Wednesday for the last week or two. Travel. For the Peru ayahuasca experience, that's another video for another day. So you read the whole entire Old Testament. No burning hell. What do you find? You find 6 very interesting words. Let's look at them. You find sheol. You find sheol or sheol, or I may not be pronouncing it correctly. I grew up calling it sheol. It could be more sheol or something like that. You find Gehenna. You find Tartarus, mentioned once in the Bible. Tartarus. You also find the lake of fire. You also find hell, and you also find Hades. So let's look at what we're talking about here. These are different things. These are not all the same thing. Now, here's a big problem. When we get to the King James Version of the Bible, because this word sheol, I'll call it sheol. Sheol is what I grew up with, so we'll call it sheol. Okay? In sheol, in the Old Testament, this is the Old Testament, not the New Testament. We'll get to the New Testament in a moment. The Old Testament, we have sheol. What is sheol? It wasn't a burning place. It wasn't hell. It wasn't a place where anyone was tortured. It was simply the grave. It was simply a pit. So let's talk about how it was translated. Let me give you some facts and figures about how this word was translated. 65 times the word sheol is mentioned in the Bible. In the Old Testament, 65 times. 31 of these times it was translated by King James Version as hell. 31 times it was translated as grave. And 3 times it's translated as pit. So what you have is one word, sheol. Half the time they call it hell. The other half the time they call it grave. And a few times, 3 times, they call it a pit. You see, hell was not a burning place in the Old Testament. It simply was not. There's no concept. There's nothing in the Old Testament whatsoever talking about hell being a burning place overseen by a devil with his demons. It's non-existent. So you tell me, hey Lynn, how you loving? How you loving? You tell me, what does that mean? I mean, you come to your own conclusions. I'm not here to tell anyone what to think. I'm simply here to share my findings and to maybe inspire you to go beyond, what we've been taught. I had to go far beyond what I was taught. I mean, my goodness, I love Christianity from the perspective of Christ consciousness, not from the perspective of following a lot of dogma and doctrine. So if you have a word, sheol, what were they talking about in the Old Testament? What does sheol mean? It just meant a place where people went after they died. It was not really a full-blown afterlife experience. See, this is another thing we must understand. Theologies and beliefs evolve over time, right? They don't just come out the box fully formed. It's just like none of us as humans came out the box. We didn't come out the womb fully formed. You evolved and you're still evolving. So if you said to if you said to, let's say, Abraham, if you said to Abraham, you're going to hell, he would be like, well, of course, in his language, Hebrew, sheol, well, of course, everyone's going to sheol. There wasn't a distinction yet. There was no heaven. Do you understand that if you read the whole first half of the Bible, Genesis to Malachi, you have no judgment of either going up or down. That does not exist at all. It's just simply absent. It does not exist. What does exist is this word sheol, and what it means is simply after you're gone, we're all going down. After you go, you're going down. Abraham wasn't planning on going up. Abraham didn't believe in that. You see, this is why, ooh, the book of Enoch, ooh, yes, that's a whole other conversation. I love it. This is why we must study. And this is what studying should ourselves approve. And this is why we can't just believe the things that people tell us. Whether they tell us in a church, or it doesn't matter if a person who's telling it to you is wearing a robe or a big pointy hat. It doesn't matter. I wear robes and big pointy hats. That doesn't matter. We've got to get to the bottom of these things. Okay? So if you read the whole first half of the Bible, and there is no concept of a devil ruling over some underworld, after dead, terror, horror place, and there's no mention of a hell, and there's no mention of suffering and torture, and there is also no mention of either you're going to go up or down. That concept did not come to thousands of years later. We're talking about the Old Testament. Isn't this fascinating? Please spell that word. Which word am I talking about, Michelle? Let me know. You see, so that would right there give you pause, because Christians want to just run on this hell. You burn in hell, you burn in hell. Wouldn't you want to know that what you're saying is true or not? Now, frankly, can anyone tell us if it's true or not? I don't know. Nobody's been there and back. Even though they have people that have afterlife experiences, of course, or near-death experience, NDEs. And the people that have the NDEs, the near-death experiences, they're all very similar. I haven't heard very many of them. We've heard a lot of them. There are a lot of people that have these NDEs, and many of them don't go to any kind of hell. They see a light. There are a lot of similarities, but we don't see that they just enter a heaven or a hell realm. You see, this thing didn't come to thousands of years later. It developed over time. So let me ask you a question. If something developed over time, is it from God? Of course not. God is God. I do not change. God doesn't change. God is God all the time. So what does evolve over time? Human belief and human thinking and human progress, it's an evolution. You see, we are making up these things based on our cosmology. Okay, let's go further. So because this sheol word is being translated, sometimes it's translated hell, sometimes it's translated grave, sometimes it's translated pit. One thing we do know is that all of the patriarchs, all of the prophets, with the exception of Isaiah, all of them talked about going to the grave, and that we're all going down to the grave when we're done. And they put down because they could bury you, they dig a hole and they put you down there. Okay? Now let's go further. When we get to Jesus' time, remember, after the time when Jesus came along, it was after the Second Temple period, which was an apocalyptic period. See, Jesus was sort of perceived as this apocalyptic kind of prophet, right? And this apocalyptic period came along where there was going to be this clear judgment of evil and good, and that there was going to be some great reckoning at the end, a big story, something's coming, and that the evil are going to be judged and the good are going to be judged. Everyone's going to be judged, and you're going to either be evil or good. Well, let me ask you a question. What does that sound like? Well, let's go to all of the influences that came. I'm going to show you something right here. All of the influences that came on this hell story. What's the first influence that we have on the hell story? Egypt. What's the next influence we have on the hell story? Babylonian influence. And all these have a specific way of molding and shaping the hell story. What's the next influence we have? Persian and Mesopotamian after the Babylonian influence, because of course, supposedly, I think it was Artaxerxes the Great, the Persians conquered after the Babylonians did. Then after the Persians, what do we have? We have the Second Temple Israelites, who are more the apocalyptic ones. And then what do we have after that? After that, we have Greek, Plato, and we have the Hellenistic period. All of these influences shaped the current Christian belief in hell. Shocking. Oh, the scandal. This is scandalous, Kaisi. What are you talking about? No. This belief in hell, it came straight from God. Boo. No, it didn't. Just like a lot of things we believe, it didn't come straight from God. So let's talk about it. Let's go a little deeper, because family, we just want to understand, right? We just want to understand. And we just want to be accurate in our understanding. I just want to get to the truth. And I just scratch and got to the bottom of it. So, well, this thing's not true. So really no Christian. Zoroastrianism, I love that you said that, because right here in our studies, of course, we have Zoroastrianism and its twofold afterlife components. That either after, this whole shift from you die, you go down, we put you on the earth, to you die, you go up and live with God and angels, or you go down and you live with the devil, overseeing this whole cave of horrors, just horror upon horror, 9 levels of horrors, torments upon torments. That didn't come until much later. Yet the Zoroastrians did have a belief in the dual nature of the afterlife. Either you're going to go to hell, which is what they didn't call it hell, they called it house of lie. Or you go to heaven. They didn't call it heaven, they called it house of song. So here with the Zoroastrians, you're beginning to see, thank you, Christina. You're beginning to see that there becomes, over time it morphs, you're all going one place, but then it starts to morph into there's going to be 2 places, right? That's an evolution of belief. That's what that is. Evolution of belief by many factors. and many ways of looking at the world. That's why we shouldn't fight over ways of looking at the world, because there's billions of people on the planet, which means there's room for billions of ways of looking at the world. There should be no fight over ways of looking at the world. Doesn't make sense. When everyone's free to have their own way of looking at the world. Now, let's go further. So we talked about the influences on it. We've talked about no mention of this hell thing at all, as it is the fiery place anywhere in the Old Testament. Now let's talk about the New Testament. Let's talk about Jesus, because of course we now are going through the Second Temple period and this apocalyptic message of doom and gloom. Now let's go to the Valley of Hinnom, because what does Jesus say? Jesus uses the word Gehenna. And this is a really another very misunderstood word. These words are extremely misunderstood, misinterpreted. As we heard, sheol is interpreted 3 different ways. Sheol, 31 times it's called hell, 31 times it's called grave, 3 times it's called pit. It's almost like they don't know what to do with the word. Well, when we get to Jesus' time, now we are more talking about some kind of apocalyptic message, as we talked about, and we talk about this split. Now you're going to go up or down. Now, but it still wasn't a fully fleshed out hell burning concept. That concept has still not been born yet. So if you go to many church people, this is what they say. The people that do not espouse hell, I'll tell you what both of them say. There are some that espouse hell. There are some that do not espouse hell. For the ones in Christianity who espouse hell, they say that Jesus, of course, in the Bible, he says, better, if your hand makes you sin, cut your hand off, because better for you to enter into the kingdom of heaven with one hand than for you to enter your whole body, be cast into the fiery Gehenna. Now, this is a point of great confusion, because this is what I grew up with. I'll tell you what I grew up with, and I've heard other ministers say this too, and then I'll tell you what I have come to now. A lot of ministers say this Gehenna was a valley of Hinnom, right? Gehenna, that Jesus was talking about, the valley of Hinnom. And what happened in the valley of Hinnom? It was an eternal fire going on all the time outside the walls of Jerusalem, and that this fire was where they burned the refuse and the trash and everything from Jerusalem. And it was also apparently where they threw people who were like sinners, unworthy of unworthy of a decent burial. I guess you could call it like our potter's field kind of thing. Well, and people who were just unscrupulous and infamous, and they weren't supposed to have good burial, right? So, burial rights, you kind of had to earn them over time. In these ancient civilizations, and even now, you have to earn burial rights by not being an absolute despot in your living life. It's a strange thing. That's just how humans are. We want you to earn your funeral. So anyway, the people that didn't earn it, they got tossed into this burning thing, right? These forever burning fires. And this is one way of looking at it. Yet, I like archaeology, I like science, I like all of it, has never found any evidence for this great big burning place. And it would appear that if there was this great big burning place, we would have had some kind of evidence of it, or something, some ashes, something. We got lots of ashes from Mount Vesuvius and all these other things that happened, where there was these great fires and conflagrations or volcanoes. We have all the ash, but we have no ash for that. So I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm saying that there's no ash. So make of that what you will. Here's another way of looking at it. The Valley of Hinnom was also the place, let me get the exact name. This was also the place where, according to this happened now before Jesus, before the time of Jesus, well, they were sacrificing their children to the god Molech. And a lot of people have heard of the god Molech, right? And Molech was the overlord of this Hinnom place. Okay, he's this underground. He had his underground kingdom, or like an underworld kingdom. This is very common, and this is a recurring theme. Christians were not the first people to make this up. Egyptians had an underworld that you went down and you met with Anubis, who is a dog-headed god. When you died, your soul had to be judged, and you had the heart. We know your heart had to be weighed on Ma'at's feathers. Ma'at is the goddess of truth and balance and cosmic order. So you had to get past her scales. So, right, your heart was weighed on her scales. On one side of the scale was your heart, and on the other side was the feather of Ma'at, which came from an ostrich, which is her animal, her sacred bird, sacred totem. And so it's a white feather. And so here you have your heart weighed against the feather. And if you were just a despot, a horrible person, or you didn't forgive, or you didn't do the things to lighten your heart, there was Ma'at, here was the Anubis, here was the 42 judges. The 42 judges represent the 42 principles of Ma'at. I have not lied, I have not done this, I have not done that. These are 42 declarations that Egyptians made in the morning. I will not do this, I will not do this, I will not do this. 42 declarations of Ma'at. And then at the nighttime, they would say, I have not. So in the morning time, it's a beautiful daily practice. In the morning time, you tell yourself what you're not going to do. And then at night, you cleanse yourself again and say, I have not stolen food from the temple. I have not, made a child cry. Powerful principles on how to live your life, the 42 principles of Ma'at, from which the 10 Commandments and much of the Bible, some other principles in the Bible were extracted from or drawn from the 42 principles of Ma'at in Egypt. Well, when you were standing there getting this whole judgment thing going on, there was a possibility that you could be eaten by this soul eater character, the crocodile beast that would come up and just take you down. Or you could pass on to these beautiful fields and live forever in the afterlife. And you would need all these things like the pharaohs. They had the boats and everything, because there was reeds there, and you would have to travel by boat to this beautiful afterlife place, and you would live with your family, and it's beautiful, it's peaceful, and all that. So Christians were not the first people to come up with this two possibility afterlife situation. Then, if you really think about it, if we go to the Greeks, same thing. Not the same thing as Egypt. I'm talking about there are some similar, hey, you didn't miss much. And you can always go to the beginning, right? And we're going to take some questions at the end, because I know this is a lot, and it's deep, and it's heavy, and it's got a lot of history, it's got archaeology, which is all the stuff that I love anyway, with magic and mysticism. And I also love the evolution of human belief. I love it. Don't take it for gospel, okay? So if we go to the Greeks, what did the Greeks have? The Greeks had Hades. We all studied Greek mythology in school, didn't we? Or I don't know if they still teach Greek mythology in school. We understood that Hades was this god of the underworld, and that when you went down into the underworld, he ruled over the dead, and he held Persephone hostage in the underground. He wanted company. These gods are just off the charts. Some of these gods and the things they do, worse than humans. I'm telling you, sometimes I think I'd rather hang out with some humans than some of these gods and goddesses, because they're just off the charts doing all kinds of things. Because see, the gods and goddesses, they are off the charts with their stuff, and they have powers with it. So they're just zapping things and stealing people and kidnapping people and killing people, and it's just causing all kinds of mayhem. At least a human is a human. So anyway, this whole idea evolved of the two choices, up or down. I guess that's the bottom line of what I'm trying to say there. Now, when it comes to Gehenna, we've already discussed that this probably was not some kind of burning place outside. This was a place where, get this, people did burn and sacrifice children. Really horrible, isn't it? But I mean, human sacrifices all throughout the Bible. I mean, God told Abraham, not God, Yahweh, told Abraham to sacrifice his son, and an angel stopped him. I always found that story bizarre. But I mean, I found a lot of stuff in the Bible bizarre with it. Hey, it's good reading. Here's my take on the Bible. My take on the Bible is that none of it is literal. It is mystical, it's astrological, it's metaphysical, it's allegory, it's how to live your life, it's amazing stories. I kind of equate the Bible to sort of like a Lord of the Rings or a Narnia. Why? It's stories and metaphor that teach you the wisdom of life, that teach you age-old principles, that teach you truth in allegory, metaphysical format. So none of these things in the Bible, I take probably very little from the Bible to be actual literal. And I'm not an atheist. I mean, I'm definitely not an atheist, and I'm not a Bible knocker. I have a Bible. I have many Bibles. I have a beautiful Bible collection. I love the Bible. And it's just my book of choice among many holy books that are all saying the same thing, by the way. It's just one book of many holy books. We have the Quran, we have the beautiful Bhagavad Gita, which I love. I have the Bhagavad Gita. We have the teachings of Buddha. We have the Quran. We have many ancient Hebrew texts. We have all of these beautiful books that are at pseudepigrapha.com. So I love reading them all. I mean, you can get something out of where we have the tab, like Hermes, right? We have all of these ancient texts that we can read. So pick one that works for you, because they're all saying the same thing. I read all of these things, they're all saying the same thing. I'm telling you, if you read the teachings of Buddha, it'll sound straight up like the Gospels. I promise you. I promise you. If you read the teachings of Buddha, and the teachings of Buddha is beautiful, that book. Read it. They put it in the hotel rooms in Japan. Well, not in Japan. In Hawaii is where I got my teachings of Buddha. There was not a Bible in the hotel room nightstand drawer. There was a teachings of Buddha in there, and it was amazing. I read it. I was shocked at first because, the Gideons are really good with putting these Bibles everywhere. I love those Gideons. I mean, I get into a hotel, in America, because I travel the world. This is not so everywhere. This is not happening in nowhere in Dubai or any place like that. This is happening. I'm talking about throughout the United States. You go into any hotel room, you open the dresser drawer. Oh, the Gideons were here. Yes. They bought the Bibles. Thank you, Gideons. I never met the Gideons. I like them, though, because they keep bringing these Bibles all over the place. It's lovely. I mean, you just have a sense of comfort when you're going to sleep at night and there's a Gideon Bible right there in the nightstand. You just go to sleep in your hotel suite. All is well with the world. The Gideons bought a Bible in here, right? Well, when I went to Hawaii, it wasn't a Bible. It was the teachings of Buddha. And when I read the teachings of Buddha, it was almost exactly like reading the Gospels. Read it for yourself. Okay, now let's talk about this Molech and this Hinnom, this valley of Hinnom. Molech was the ruler of Gehenna. Does this sound like devil ruling over hell? Does it sound like it? It sounds like it. It sounds like an early iteration of a devil ruling over hell. So this god Molech was a god that was very prominent back in the ancient world, and this was a god that people sacrificed children to. Yeah, it's just by birth. Now, I do want to say that right now I live in Mexico, and I was in the ancient cities because we lead retreats all over the world to study all of these ancient mysteries. I love it. I love it. I love it. You are going to be coming down here next month in July for the Goddess Retreat. Go to ValerieLove.com and go to ChristianWitches.com. You are going to see the Goddess Retreat. Incredible, incredible. So anyway, right now where we are down here, if you go to the ancient city of Chichen Itza in Mexico, you will see, hey Gina, hey Phoenix, how you loving? You will see a temple at Chichen Itza, the temple where they actually used to sacrifice the warrior. This is the temple of the 1,000 pillars, where the warrior was sacrificed. And you literally have a picture of, it's like a concrete slab. The thing's still there, you can see it. It's a concrete slab, and there's two people over here holding the arms back of the warrior, two people over here holding the feet back of the warrior, and the high priest just goes in and snatches the heart out of the warrior's chest, and the heart is still beating. They have to have the heart still beating, so all this has to happen while they're alive. They have to have the heart still beating. I'll tell you what this has to do with hell in a minute, because this is the fresh offering to God. Well, like the Mayans, with the sacrifice, the human sacrifice to appease the gods. I mean, this is an old concept. This concept goes all the way back to beginning of humanity. You know, we got to appease these gods. Usually it was a virgin or a warrior or somebody like that. Well, with Molech, it was kids, babies. You know, it's like, you got to think like ancient people. It's very strange and bizarre, but the people did do this. And so when you're giving the child, or you're giving it's just horrible. But anyway, my heart is just, ooh. Anyway, they'd sacrifice children. They would sacrifice babies. They would sacrifice children. Hey, Coach Michelle, how you loving? Why do the Jehovah's Witnesses say, let me see, why do the Jehovah's Witnesses say that their Bible is the Bible? Yeah, I always found that inane. I like that. Well, they have a couple of reasons for saying it. One of the reasons they say it is because they claim, now I don't know how true this is, they claim that God's name is Jehovah. That's what they say. Take it from the ancient tetragrammaton YHWH, right? And supposedly you get out of this either Yahweh or you get the sacred name of God, but the actual iteration of it, or the pronunciation of it was lost over time because Jewish people did not utter it because it was too holy and sacred to be uttered. So we don't know the exact pronunciation of the sacred name because they did not use the sacred name. It was too holy to be in our dirty, filthy, human mouths. So we don't know how the name was originally said, but Jehovah's Witnesses made up Jehovah. Some people make up Yahweh. Well, anyway, they say that every place in the Bible, this is the Jehovah's Witness story, okay? They say that every place in the Bible where the sacred name YHWH appears in the original Hebrew text, what they're saying is that every time YHWH appears, every time the tetragrammaton appears, supposedly that is supposed to translate in the modern day Bible to the actual name of God. Now it gets a little tricky too because Hebrew does not have vowels per se. So YHWH, the Hebrew language is very, very fascinating. So it's not like we can even figure out how it actually is supposed to sound. And what witnesses say is that all the other Bibles have Lord in all caps. So if you look at a Bible, it's so fascinating, these Bibles. If you look at a Bible, you see a Bible and it has Lord, all caps, that was where the tetragrammaton appeared in the original text. The witnesses also have a little issue with John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. They changed that because this is also a very complex issue because Greek is very complex. And that was written in Aramaic. And then it was translated into Greek, and then it was translated into Latin, and then it was translated into English. It's so many translations. So these things get a little bit lost in the translation, but they say that it's not supposed to be that the Word was God. It's supposed to say the Word was a God. So they say that A is missing. I don't quite get with that. I do sense in my Rhema word that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That when you are using the Word, you are actually using divine power. That's what that feels like to me. Okay, is that helpful? And those are the two biggest ones that they have. And they also have this other thing where they don't call it the Old Testament and the New Testament. They call it the Hebrew scriptures and the Greek scriptures, or they call them, yeah, because they don't like old, because old could indicate outdated, antiquated, and so no, they don't want it to be Old Testament and New Testament. You know, these religions, the bottom line of it is everybody's making shit up. That's the bottom line of it. Everyone's making shit up and calling it God, and God didn't say any of that. That's all. Thank you, the butterfly tattoo. Thank you so much. Not to mention, the monks like to change the words around. Yes, they did. Oh my goodness, yes, they did. The monks and the scribes. And these scribes are writing by hand. Can I ask you a question? If you were writing a whole book, you had to take this whole entire book and you had to write this whole entire book. How many mistakes would you make if you had to write it by hand? This entire book. I mean, it'd be full of mistakes. Let's not be crazy about that. Let's not be crazy. That's humans. And not only that, they're writing by candlelight. They don't even have fucking electricity. And not only that, they're writing with quills. They're not writing with an actual pen. Do I even have a pen around you? They're not even writing with an actual pen or pencil. They're writing with quills that you dip in a pot of ink. Come on now. Come on, people. I mean, this ought to be common sense that you're not getting what you may think you're getting, and that you certainly cannot rest your whole life on this, and that you certainly cannot condemn other people based on it. I'm not saying that you can't rest your life on the Bible. The Bible's wonderful. The Bible's lovely. I love the Bible. I'm saying take the principles from it. Take the principles. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Be kind to people. Be compassionate. You know, don't hit people over the head with it like I used to do. Now, so we've covered the Old Testament, we've covered the New Testament, or we've hit on some of these things. We've hit on the Old Testament, the New Testament. We talked about Molech and the Valley of Hinnom. So now let's bring it to what Jesus is talking about. So in the time that Jesus was talking, people would have known about this Molech god that they sacrificed their children to by burning. Okay? So, and they had the story that he lived in an underground kingdom. I mean, that's clear. And so when Jesus said, better to cut your hand off and not cancel, better to go into heaven with your hand cut off if your hand causes you to sin, than to go your whole body down into Gehenna and burn. What was he talking about? No, probably not a reference to a big, great pile of burning trash outside the city of Jerusalem. Probably more reference to this Molech god, because people would have been familiar with that. See, you're not familiar with Molech because we're not talking about Molech. Back in the day, everybody freaking knew who he was. Just like people 10 years ago or 15 years ago when Prince was super hot, everyone on the planet knew who Prince was, right? If you go 50 years into the future and you say Prince, people say, oh, was he? And the people that were around when Prince was around would be highly shocked. What? You don't know Prince? Like, this happens with me and my kids all the time. My kids are born 89 and 87, 89, 87, 90, and then the little one is one, the baby, she was born in 2001. My 87, the one who was born in 87, the one who was born in 89, in 90, not 89, 90. Especially my one who was born in 90, that's my middle daughter, my middle child. She thinks Beyonce is the shit. And she is now. Queen B, don't play. Yeah, she's Queen B. But she don't know anything about what Janet Jackson was doing back in the day. Oh, Janet Jackson, okay. You see, she didn't live through that period when Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson were doing these cutting edge things that no one had ever done before. So they don't have that same concept. When I talk to them about Gladys Knight, they're like, Gladys who? When I talk to them about Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Earth, Wind, and Fire was killing it back in the day. See, you cannot put these people on the same, you can't measure them the same. Why? Because none of them had social media. None of them even freaking had, there was no TV back there other than 3 or 4 stations. Yeah, the world was about this big when some of these stars were on the planet. And now the world is this big. you have a different frame of reference, right? Oh my God, Beyonce is amazing. But Beyonce may not be as cutting edge as some of these artists that came before her. They were cutting edge to the place where Beyonce could be cutting edge in her own way. Hope that makes sense. Like each one is building on what came before. And religion is no different. Stop holding your religion as the holier than thou word of God. This Bible came straight from God. This is the word of God. This came straight from God. No, it didn't. It came from a bunch of people that were writing some really good shit. I mean, it's good. And they were probably, caught up in raptures and they were seeing seventh heaven and all those things. Beautiful. Maybe they were taking some plant medicines. Lovely. Maybe they were having some divine visions. Yes. And then people translated and translated and translated and translated and changed it and changed it and changed it and changed it. And then you have the Bible today and you're going to beat somebody up or you're going to be unkind. This is the part I don't understand. You don't kill somebody over the Bible. They've been killing people over the Bible for thousands of years. You're killing someone over the word of God. I don't think people get that. I'm about to burn somebody at the stake because the word of God. But God is love. Those don't go together, people. God is love. Oh, God is love. But He's gonna burn you in hell if you don't get yourself together. Sheesh. God is love? Yes. God is love. Really? Yes. And he so loved us that He sent His only begotten Son. Yes. He loved me that much. Yes. He loved you so much. He sent His only begotten Son for you, you sinner. But if you don't get your act together, all bets are off. You're about to burn. Oh my God. I don't mean to, jest at the Christian religion. I'm just saying there may be more to the story than what we've been told. And all we're saying is dig deeper. Okay, so maybe Christ could have been referring to this, he could have been making a reference to something that would have been well known in his days, by what I'm talking about right there. Now, I got to tell you something, that some of these influences on hell, we've got to also look at the fact that the writers of the Bible were going through all these different things. Like they were in their homeland, then they were taken from their homeland. And you only have one or two generations where syncretism happens. People start to syncretize their ideas, their beliefs. People do it now. If things change, they morph. And so religion is not this one solid thing. So what you have now being taught to you in church was not what it was when Christ was on the planet, was not what it was when Abraham was on the planet. It's an evolution, it's an amalgamation, it's a syncretization, and it goes through time. I think this is the part that a lot of Christians don't understand. They think that what they've been teaching in the church is exactly what Jesus talked about when He was on the planet, and that is not so. That's not so. Okay, let's look at some comments. Let me see. Let's see what does this comment say. Okay, Sarah. I'm looking at Sarah's comment, and then on the other side, you hear. I know, right, Sarah? This whole hell doctrine. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. I was told Jesus wrote the Bible, but did He have a gospel that He Himself wrote? Many things don't make sense about what I was told. Yes. No, it's very interesting. Jesus never wrote anything. He said a lot, though, but He never wrote anything. Very fascinating, isn't it? The other thing about, go to the one about the Gospels and how did our Bible come together. Go to that live stream, because in there I show you the actual timeline of the Bible being written, and Nothing was written that Jesus said for 70 years after he wrote. I think the first book of the Gospels that we have is Luke, that was written in 70 AD. And supposedly, well, let me not say 70 years, about 37 years. Because somewhere Jesus died somewhere between 30 and 33 CE, Common Era, Jesus died. And then we have nothing written for decades. So 70 was the first time that we have people actually write down things that he said. And the Gospel of Luke was written by Luke, who was a physician, never was an apostle, was never with Jesus. So he had to go completely by his research. Now, he was a good researcher, but he was not there. And you're talking about the first things being written down 35 years after Jesus died. Come to your own conclusions on that one. That ought to tell us right there that we cannot take the Bible as a historical book. We cannot take the Bible as this very literal thing. We must take the Bible in spirit and in truth. That's what we must do, or that's what we get to do. That helped me. Okay, Christine. Let's see what Christine is saying. Okay. A part of the Bible I recently read says spiritual practice were okay as there is one God, of all the gods. That's right. Sorry I'm late on this, but I don't understand why people tell others we're going to hell if we don't follow Christianity. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. That's exactly right. No one can tell you you're going to hell. No one can tell. You see, Christian witches, you would not have a problem with any Christian if you did this kind of study, or that's why we have this open conversation going on continually. Christians, you've been lied to. This is the bottom line of it. You have been lied to, and these are things you will never find out in church. And that's why we call this the Forbidden Knowledge series. Not because you can't know what I said every episode. Not because you can't know it, but because people won't know it. And that's willful ignorance, and there's no excuse. So all this, you would not, as a witch, as a wizard, a warlock, you would not concern yourself with Christians and what they say at all if you knew that what they were talking about was fallacy. They themselves do not know the origins of hell. They just got hell, you're going to burn, and the devil and the demons rule over hell. Well, we've already seen that that's not the case. And we already know that truth is truth out the box. Truth doesn't morph and change. That's doctrine and dogma. Doctrine, the story, dogma, how they want you to look at things, that all changes over time. Religion changes over time. The religion of Christian, God's not a Christian, God's not Jewish. Jesus wasn't a Christian. Dream Seeker, how you love it? Hi, Reverend Val. I joined you this morning on Clubhouse. My name, Tara, you're a dream seeker on Clubhouse. Oh my God. I couldn't speak because I was at work. Oh my God, I will be there tomorrow morning. Oh my God, dream seeker. I love that. I love it. 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 Oh my God, dream seeker. Family, we are on Clubhouse. I'm actually on Clubhouse teaching every morning, Monday through Friday, until I leave for my 4 countries in the East that I'm leaving for October 31st. I'll tell you more about that later. But for right now, I'm on Clubhouse every morning, Monday through Friday, and I teach in the Christian Witches room. The Christian Witches group is on Clubhouse, and our Christian Witches group is all about knowledge, wisdom, understanding, right? All the good stuff. Okay, what if the concept of hell is simply a dimension of lower vibrations where entities of lower frequencies exist? That's a good one too. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. The key is that there's no precedent for this being in the Bible as a creation. It like it didn't come out the box. Hell, torment, fire burning forever, ruled over by the devil and demons. That did not exist. Over time, it was built on. And then if you read, I want to get the name of this for you, the exact name so that you can read this. Because Honorius, many of the popes promulgated ideas that just were not so, because the popes wanted to make up shit. And they felt like they thought they were God. Say, I'm God's vicar on earth. And now we have purgatory. This in-between place. I saw someone comment earlier that they made up purgatory. They did make up purgatory. Kind of in between, because what do we do with the babies? Oh my God. The babies are burning. Oh, what do we do with the babies? The babies are burning. What kind of religion is this? The babies are burning. Okay, stop crying. The babies don't burn. The babies go to purgatory. They made up an in-between one. See, it was just grave, sheol. Then it morphed to 2. Then it morphed to 3. And at one point it morphed to 5. The Catholic Church had made 5 levels of what happens to you after you die. And that's around when, Martin Luther nailed his demands to the door of the church. Was like, this is too much. This is ridiculous. And then we had the Protestant Reformation. But let me get you this exact name of this pope. I think it was Pope Honorius. It's called the Elucidarium of Honorius. The Elucidarium of Honorius. All of these old scripts and old manuscripts and old books have very intriguing names. And basically, he made up this very horrible. Now, Honorius may not have been a pope. He could have been more like a bishop or something like that. And he wrote this text, this Elucidarium, which was supposed to help the new young, clergy understand God's will. He made it up. And then you see that gets incorporated into the hell story. And then next thing you have Dante's Inferno come along, that gets incorporated into the hell story. And then early on, you have Gilgamesh, right? And in the Gilgamesh saga, there is some kind of underworld. It only makes sense that you would have an underworld. It only makes sense. We also want to add to it that these different influences on the hell story, they were coming from different places. So when you looked at the Greeks, they already had their Hades thing all worked out. It was the underworld. They also had, and if we look at the Egyptians had their underworld thing worked out. This was also sort of an influence. Then you look at the Persians, they had their thing worked out. And then you look at we said the Greeks, the Persians, Babylonians. The Babylonians, they have their thing. So you understand that the Israelite people, which by the way, if you're not Israelite, this probably doesn't apply to you, because the first book of the Bible, the first half of the Bible, the Old Testament, is the story of the Israelite people. It's not my story. I'm of the African peoples in this lifetime. So if you're not Israelite, I don't even see how it even applies to you as a charge or as something you are now have to follow, because this is not even the book of your ancestry. Okay? So when you look at these different groups of people, they were interconnected. Their worship became interconnected. And I don't know, a lot of Christians probably don't want to think about that because they're not very comfortable with that concept. I was waiting for it to launch on Android. I was so excited. I ran around Valley. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you're with us now on Clubhouse. And my name on Clubhouse is, I think it's at Val Love Inspires, as all of them. Lawrence, how you loving? Honorius, I think he wrote one of the books I'm researching. Now, Lawrence Are you reading the Sworn Book of Honorius? Because the Sworn Book of Honorius is one of the magic books back in the day that they actually make them swear. When you had to get the book, first of all, of course, you had to write your own copy of the book. But when you got it, you had to actually swear on the book that you would not, in your heart or in the book, or somehow there was a ritual, that you could not divulge anything about the book to anyone that wasn't in the order. Sworn Book of Honorius. Yes. Kathy, you're on iPhone, you can't get on. Well, I can tell you this much, Kathy. They are definitely letting more and more people on. So if you're on the list, you're definitely going to move up. You're definitely going to be in very soon. Yes, old Christian magic. Lawrence, that's the thing. Christian magic. Woo! Almost all of the Christians back in the day were doing magic. Oh my goodness, so much magic, right? So, family, I just wanted to stop in, give you some of these ideas about hell, look at it from another fresh perspective, and especially I speak this and we have this conversation to really support Christian witches, magical beings who love Christ and the craft, magical beings who grew up in the Christian church, in the Christian faith. Beautiful. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story. I love it. To understand you're not going to hell and you're not burning just because you got crystals and because you're doing magic. And to understand that hell is a made up construct. I'll share with you again as we leave, as we conclude. Here's my findings. Here's the conclusion that I've come to about hell. Hell is completely invented by humans. The concept of hell that we have today. It's complete, it's an invention. It's contrived. It's a conjuration. It didn't come from God. And many ministers have said the exact same thing. I mean, you look at Bishop Carlton Pearson. Carlton Pearson lost his whole church because he said, there's no hell. They were like, that's the main thing we keeping to keep all these people in line. We keeping them in line with hell. And you want to give it up? No. They came for him. He lost his church, all that, because he came to a realization. This is not God. This is not God. Okay, D. I'm just getting into Asherah. Ooh. And this might be a dumb question, but do you think she is, do you think she is the wife of the source? Beautiful question. Asherah was the wife of Yahweh, and it's very fascinating because wherever you had Yahweh, you had Asherah. You had Yahweh and his Asherah. And this is very clearly lined out in a book, or you could call it Asherah. I don't know if it's Asherah or Asherah. I'm not sure the pronunciation. You can find this in the book, When God Had a Wife. Fascinating book. Fascinating book. So, yes, Asherah or Asherah is the wife of Yahweh. She's the divine consort of Yahweh. And everywhere you saw Yahweh, you saw Asherah. The key is that for me, Yahweh is not ultimate source. Yahweh is like a lesser God, like a creator God. But Yahweh is not source for me. Now, each person has to come to their own conclusions about that, right? All right, Granny Witches and the Appalachian with all Christian witches. I love it. I love that. Granny Witches and the Appalachians were all Christian witches. And you know what? Christian witches work a lot of magic with the Bible. I think that's going to be one of our next conversations, is the magic you can work with the Bible, with those Psalms. And hoodoo practitioners know this very well too. Except I think hoodoo practitioners really focus in on the Psalms. I love the magic of Jesus. I love the magic of Daniel. Daniel was a very powerful magician. I love the magic of the prophets. I love the magic of Moses. Powerful magical practitioner. See, we don't think of these people in terms of magic because Christianity told us magic was evil. That's not true. It's simply not true. Okay, So where does consciousness go, since it doesn't cease to exist, since energy cannot be destroyed? It continues on. It continues on after your life. Now, every spiritual path says we continue after. Now, whether you believe that, and I do believe for myself in karma and reincarnation, I do believe in the continuation of being, but I'm not going to fight somebody over to beat somebody up over because I haven't done it. I'll go and do it and then come back and tell you. I mean, we're here now. That I do know. So, yes, I'm more subscribed to a current and reincarnation, multiple lives kinds of things. I've remembered many past lives. I like what's the doctor who wrote Many Masters, Many Lives? Brian Weiss. I love his work because that rings true to my soul. So I think you really have to come to your own conclusions. You know, these are the existential questions we get to answer. What happens to, am I an eternal soul, and what happens after this? These are the big questions that we get to ask and answer. I don't have the answers to all of those, but I do know that my continued quest and seeking and learning and growing and asking is giving me a soul satiation that comes from feeling peaceful within yourself when you do feel like you have some answers. You don't have to have all the answers to the universe. There does become a peace that you're on your path, your unique, beautiful soul path, and your things are starting to click for you, and you feel some kind of peace and yes in your spirit. That's what I would love for everyone to feel. Oh my goodness, I'm like 42. Yeah, I haven't been in it. Oh, and love, blessings. Oh, so glad to be here. Hey, give me some love. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? All right. The cunning people are also Christian witches. Ooh, look them up. But I think they were pilgrims that practiced their own craft. Oh, that is amazing. The cunning folk. I love the cunning folk. I love all kinds of practitioners of magic. The cunning folk are really fascinating because they're quite wise and magical. I listen to a podcast. I like the magical podcast, and there's a magical podcast that I listen to called not Room Soup. This is the other one, Glitch Bottle. And on Glitch Bottle, Alexander F. I just love his podcast, and I love how he interviews people. And he had some cunning folk on there, and oh my goodness! And the one was born in the Appalachian Mountains, and that's some powerful magic. That's some powerful conjure right there. It's powerful. I just want to say I love that you are an intellectual, spiritual fact checker. I love that, Pandora. Oh my goodness, I love that, Pandora, because don't we have to check facts? Like, not like these fake fact checkers on Facebook, right? Well, we fact check you and you're censored because you're not on with the narrative. Okay, I'm talking about, let's really get in there. Let's look at archaeology, quantum physics. Let's look at science. Let's look at the Bible. Let's look at culture. Let's look at languages. Let's look at evolution of humanity. Let's look at the Egyptians and the Persians and the Mesopotamians and those in Mesopotamia. Let's look at all of this so that we can understand what's really going on when we pick up this big, huge book. That's, by the way, not even one big book. It was cobbled together. All right, give me some love. Glitch Bottle, yes. It's Glitch Bottle. It is so good. Oh, it's so good. Glitch Bottle podcast is so good. I freaking love it. I'm in love with that podcast. I probably have maybe listened to almost every episode. Some episodes I've listened to more than once. I also love Rune Soup, Rune. Rune Soup is really good. We're going to add to Christian Witches. We're creating a page now, Christian Witches, that has a lot of witches and magical beings that we love, and we're going to put that on there. Linda, Reverend Val, what time are you on Clubhouse? I'm on Clubhouse at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And we do A Course in Miracles and our tarot card for the day. And oh my God, that room is fire. That Clubhouse room is fire. So go on to Clubhouse and follow me, Valerie Love Kaisi, on Clubhouse, Valerie Love on Clubhouse. It's at Val Love Inspires. And also follow the Christian Witches group. We have a Christian Witches club on Clubhouse. Follow the club, and then you will see when we're live. Yep. Emerald tablet. Ooh, yeah, emerald tablet is mind blowing. Absolutely. All right, family. So that's it. We just are going to wrap up right now, and I want to make sure that you hop on over to ValerieLove.com, click on ChristianWitches.com, go there and see about the next retreat that we have coming down here to Mexico. Woo-hoo. Coming down here to Mexico, where I currently live. Oh my God, Clubhouse. Yes, Clubhouse is an app. Can I get an invite to Clubhouse? Yes. I think I'll actually post it on my website because I have a link that will help people with their Clubhouse to be able to join the club on Clubhouse, and I think skip the line. So yes, I'll post that on the website. And oh, I love you, Sarah. Thank you so much. And family, just remember this. Don't concern yourself about Christians being mad at you. Don't concern yourself about Christians saying you can't practice magic or you're going to hell. Don't be concerned about Christians who say God don't love you because you practice magic, you love crystals, and you love metaphysics. Don't concern yourself with any of that, because most of the time most Christians just don't know what they're talking about. Instead, you study to show thyself approved. That's what I say. I just want the no excuses. You want no excuses manifesto? There is no excuses manifesto. Oh my God. Get it? This is a new series of books that I've done, and I so love. How do you like it? Alethea? Let me know. Did you have it yet, or is it on its way? Oh my God, Linda, it's my pleasure. I love it. Let me know. No Excuses Manifesto is really a very special book because this is the first book I have ever been on the cover of. This is the first time I have ever been on the cover. My ring light is showing. I don't know I think y'all can see it. This is the first time I've ever been on the cover of a book. And here's No Excuses Manifesto. It's got 10 steps to get you out of any ditch. And it's got workbook pages. These 10 steps are profound. These are the exact 10 steps that I use to get out of, when I say ditches in my life, I mean ditches. And it's a workbook, and I'm telling you, it'll take you out of any dark place. It'll take you out of any ditch, any dark night of the soul. And I'm telling you, I spent much time in the dark night of the soul, and this book will absolutely get you out of the dark night of the soul. It's number 1 in a 3-book series. So I'll talk about these more coming up. But yeah, there's No Excuses Manifesto. And then the next one is Dark Night of the Soul. Some incredible stories in that. And then the third and final one in that, well, I can't say the final one, in the third, next installment in the book, in this series of workbooks on Dark Night of the Soul, because that's one of the big things that comes up on the YouTube channel. Dark Night of the Soul, negative entities, negative energy, how to get rid of it. That's what these books are about. And then this third one that I'm doing is called Why You're Stuck and How to Get Unstuck. 40 money mantras change your life. Yay! I love it. And family, if any of you have any of the books, please, reviews. Would you leave a review on Amazon? That so helps everyone. Reviews, and How to Be a Christian Witch sells like hotcakes every single day. It's on 2 bestseller lists right now. It's usually on 2 or 3 bestseller lists at all times. How to Be a Christian Witch. Love your reviews. Love how you're reading the book. Love how you're using the book. And How to Be a Christian Witch is a 4-part book series. It's How to Be a Christian Witch, spellcrafting for the Christian Witch, Christian Witch's Manifesto, and Magical Prayers for the Christian Witch. That has in there all of your words of power and magical prayers when you do your rituals, along with the tarot card and the essential oil correspondences. I love that book. So it's a 4-book series. Get it? Calvin, now, are you doing any more plant magic videos? Yes. I have one coming up probably this week, and I'll be telling y'all about the Peru experience. mind-blowing. We just got back from Peru. Mind-blowing. I'm so glad you asked about that, Calvin. Do you think that let me see. Oh, do you think that leaving behind Christianity brought you close to a natural order? Oh, I love that. Femme fatale, I love that. Yes, it did. Because I don't find that Christianity teaches you much about nature. And it certainly doesn't ask you to align with nature. And that's one of the best things you can do. That's why the Temple of Maat is where we initiate our priestesses. We're going to Sedona in the fall. You can come with us on the fall equinox where we will do a ritual in the mountains of Sedona on the Red Rocks for the fall equinox. And you can also come to the graduation of the initiates. This is exactly why Maat is the goddess, is the keeper of the ecclesiastical arm of Christian witches, because Maat is all about cosmic order. And see, in Christianity, they don't teach you about cosmic order. They don't teach you about how to be in alignment. They teach you how to follow a bunch of rules. So yes, the answer to that question would be yes. Hey, Ocho Machin! Oh my goodness, how you love it! Wow, did we have a time in Peru, huh? OMG, can Alethea, working through the first step, help me with why I have writer's block? Oh my goodness, yes. I love it, I love it, I love it. I love it, yeah. Huh, never heard of it before. Never heard of what before? Never heard of this before. Calvin, which part that you've never heard of before? Let me know. Oh my God, Peru was incredible. Wow, 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 wow. Demiurge. Demiurge. Okay. All right. I like that we're getting deep in our magical studies, and I also like, family, that we have a firm foundation upon which to build your magic. And remember, if you're afraid and you're concerned and thinking in the back of your mind, you know, that you're going to go to hell, or God is not approving of you, or somehow you're going to be judged, or somehow that's going to affect your magic. You don't want to have those things in the back of your mind. You want to just simply practice magic and practice it with abandon and practice it with love and pour yourself into your magic without that little thing in the background. I'm telling you, I've heard from so many Christian witches over the years. Am I going to hell? Am I going to lose my soul to the dark side? Is the devil going to get me? I can't say which, because maybe I'll go to hell. Does God like crystals? I don't know. I can't lose Jesus, because Jesus is the one. And oh my God, what if God really is casting me offside because I'm magical? You can let go of all of that. All of it. All of it. Is 40 Money Secrets and 40 Money Scriptures upgraded books out on Amazon? 40 Money Secrets and 40 Money Scriptures? Not yet. Not yet. I'm still working on them. 40 Money Mantras and 40 Money Spells are both upgraded. New covers on Amazon. Those are hot sellers. Like, I was looking at the numbers today on the books. 40 Money Mantras, hot sellers, hot sellers. So thank you. They'll be coming. Thank you for your patience on that one. Okay, Pandora. I'm at the point in my journey where I have been questioning my beliefs. That's a good thing. And trying to fulfill my soul. Yes. I found myself watching your videos more and more. Oh, I've always felt witchy. And with a name like Pandora. Ooh, yummy. I'm so glad you're here, Pandora. And I love what you said. Questioning my beliefs. That's all we get to do, right? We just get to question. And then we get to walk our path. I love it, trying to fulfill my soul. That's what you're here to do. That is what you're here to do. Moonwind, same here, Pandora. You're not alone. I love it. I was an ugly old Chinese man in a past life. Oh my God. And you studied the Tao. Wow. Fascinating. Dream Sinker, when you started your magical practices, were you ever afraid of your own power? Ooh, this is one of my hang-ups. Wow. I feel it, but I'm a little apprehensive. That probably is the number one thing that gets most witches and wizards and magical beings. That probably is the number one thing that gets most of us. It's not. It's the Mary Ann Williamson quote that you're not afraid that you don't have it. Your greatest fear is that you're powerful beyond measure. That's our greatest fear. That we are powerful beyond measure. That we are supernovas. That we're magnificent. That we have this huge soul power within us. Yeah, most of us are afraid of our own power. You're absolutely on it. And guess what? That's why we do these spiritual practices. That's why we do magic. That's why we're in spiritual community. That's why we're doing this. Why? Because we are going to overcome our fears of our own power and we're going to stand up and be magnificent, right? She says, who you think, who am I to be, beautiful or wealthy, or who are you not to be? Your playing small doesn't help anyone. Right? That when you shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to shine. That's what I pray to be an inspiration to many people, many, 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 many millions of people. And please do share this video because it's my intention to be an inspiration to many, many, many millions upon millions upon millions of people. That's my inspiration. That's my aspiration. That's my prayer. That's my purpose, is to let the light shine. Yes. They're absolutely accurate. And we got to do it anyway. We're going to do it scared, right? We're going to do it scared. I mean, what else can we do, right? Ujo White Jet in a nutshell, community death. Ujo was talking about her experience. She said in a nutshell, community, death, rebirth, healing, and integration are my Peru takeaways. You can write a book on each one of those. Wow. I love that, Ujo Waja. It was so good meeting you in person after all these years. At Ujo Waja, did we get our feeling of hugs? Oh, we hugged every day, every day, every day. When I say I want to hug your neck, I mean it. I mean, we get in our hugs every day. Dopamine off the charts. Dopamine off the charts. The original 40 scriptures and the new version of mantras and spells also wanting magical prayers book. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. They're on. If you go to ValerieLove.com, the books are there. And if you also go to Christian Witches, the books are there as well, which is awesome. They're available on Amazon. Hey, family. Hey, hey, hey. Femme Fatale, I do feel like I was burned in past life. My period blood revealed it. Wow. Fascinating. Fascinating. I was drowned a couple of times. I was drowned once that I know of. And burned a couple of times at the stake. I mean, a lot of magical people, if you're a witch, you came in a witch probably many lifetimes. Yep. Dream Seeker. I've come too far back to turn now. I know that's right. I do have fears, but I'm doing it anyway. And we're going to end on that one. Ding, 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 ding. That's the move right there. Oh, we got another big comment. Okay, one more, Sarah. Okay, I have collected stones since I was 4 years old. That's right. And I never could stop. I know there are vibrations within them. Oh, yes, they absolutely are. If anyone would ever if anyone would ever want to send one, let's see, from the ground, non-purchase, I will pay shipping. Please connect with me. It is my calling, and y'all feel like family. That's something I know for sure. Miss Love, even for your travels, I feel connected to you. Oh my God. To a world I haven't yet traveled. All right, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm very glad that you were here. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Love and light, Emma. Is that Emma? Love and light. No, Emunya. I hope I'm saying that right. Emuna. I hope I'm saying that right. Oh, I pray I'm saying that right. Dream Sinker. Oh, hi, Ujo. Here he had a wonderful experience in Peru. Oh, my goodness. Peru is absolutely incredible. All right, family, we're going to lock it up tonight. That's our conversation on hell. You know what we do. You know we're here every week on Witchy Wednesday to really talk about these magical practices as a Christian witch, right? What does Christian witch mean? It doesn't mean that you're a Christian who follows dogma. It means that Christ consciousness, a magical being who integrates Christ in the craft, Christ consciousness, that we aspire to Christ consciousness. We're not bogged down by dogma. I love you. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. ValerieLove.com. Pais. Paisio. Caisio. Peace.